Chicago rapper Shooter Shells made a diss to the NLMB, and he was shot and killed in Chicago. Guys, I was very compelled to do this story. This was sent to me and I did some digging, and I find that this story is very, very hurtful, very outrageous. However, I'm going to give you the story the way it is and I'll critique it. So the Chicago native, and he was a rapper known as Shooter Shells, he made more than one diss song aimed at G Herbo and his NLMB group, and he was shot and killed in Gresham Park on the far south side of Chicago. And this kid was just 21 years old, and he was shot by multiple shooters. This young man was attempting to get out of his vehicle around 9:30 a.m. He was on the 8100 block of South Paulina Street near 81st Street. Police said that the rapper was hit multiple times by 3 different gunmen. They were seen getting out of a white vehicle and they opened fire. So at that particular time, guys, it was not currently known how many times or where on his body he was hit. However, I was sent a very disturbing graphic picture of this young man, and I must tell you, this was overkill and this was senseless. And this was downright evil. See, there was a lady that was standing outside that was an actual witness, and she saw the whole thing happen. And she feared to be retaliated against, and so she wanted to keep her identity not known. And she said she saw those shooters jump out of that white vehicle and open fire on Shooter Shells. And Shooter Shells, for a fact, was pronounced dead on the scene that very day. See, this is what I don't like. But anyway, other neighbors on the block that didn't come out of the home and see anything happen, they claimed that they didn't hear any gunshots. But this lady clearly saw it, and he was shot a lot of times, guys. And there were a large amount of shell casings on the block. So at the time of the shooting, there was no suspects in custody at that time, and the case was under investigation. So Shooter Shells had first came to light a couple of months ago when he released that song, Death of 150, a diss track aimed at G Herbo and his crew, the NLMB affiliates. They said that Shooter Shells released a video and he produced it on Lakia Films. And this was put on their YouTube channel, and the visual has amassed over 500,000 views. To this day, it's probably more by now. So he was dissing G Herbo and his crew, and they didn't like that. That was not taken lightly. And so when Shooter Shells was shot, guys, he was strewn out on the goddamn street, laying there with his head blown off. You can see through his skull, okay? I saw the picture, and you can't unsee it. Anyway, when that happened, he was still unidentified by the police, but the media, everybody knew it was him, okay? They said it on social media, because just a couple of hours before, he sent out a diss song. He was on there making diss videos, and then later he was gunned down trying to get out of his vehicle. And so even that graphic screenshot of his murder scene even circulated on Instagram. So they're saying that they think that the guys who murdered him, they both stood over him each. It was 3 of them, and they all shot him multiple times. They all took turns shooting him in his head and in his face. And it was said that these young men actually took pictures and recorded what they done.
These niggas don't know what they into. When you talk about a real nigga name of a beast, then you know real killers come and get you. Niggas hating a real and you recognize real. They don't know what these niggas been through. And I don't play because a nigga can't fake in the field. And I know you want to kill it, it ain't in you. And these niggas, they soft like tissue. Better know my niggas be with that. You can see that the team we FEB. If it's war, my niggas go send that. I got dough if a nigga fall off, and the nigga better hide. Cause you know I gotta get back. When you blow, you can get the sawed off. Cause I gotta keep a tool by the going through get wet. And I don't wanna put your little nigga shit back. I'm shining, bitch, I'm flexing. Black mob is what I'm repping. And all day my niggas reckless. Do hits when I'm on Essex, and you never catch me naked. Don't get the wrong impression. We cut through my niggas necklace. Don't like it but respect it. This ain't school but gon' and test it. Gon' teach that boy a lesson. Catch an L and that's a blessing. We smoking like a session. You get poked if you finesse it. I bet they get the message. If it's poor then we address it. Catch an op, shit gon' get hectic. Shooter Shells.
Now guys, please forgive me. This young man was rapping so fast I couldn't understand what he was saying. But I did get the meaning to what he was saying. And it sounds like he was rapping, but he was also telling a true story. A story about people coming to do something and what they need to do and what they're not capable of doing. and all I heard was shooter shells. So I'm taking it that this was also a diss track or a diss rap to his ops, and they saw this on Instagram. Okay, guys, so I'm going off of some of the things that was sent to me by a subscriber, but I also did my own digging. So apparently they're saying that Shooter Shells apparently killed a couple of NLB dudes. And so they were doing this in retaliation, and they were going back and forth, and he was making diss tracks about the killings he did. But they tried to cover it up and say that it was this diss song that he did, but it really was not the diss song that he did. He killed a couple of their guys. And Shooter Shells also did an interview with Zach TV back in the day. Now, allegedly, Shooter Shells got 3 bodies. Simo and Richie and Yogi, and they both was from NLMB. See, Shooter Shells is from Black Mob on 75th and Phillips. And that makes up a half of Terrortown. And that other half is NLMB. And that area was made famous by G Herbo. See, Shooter Shells was known as a rapper and a shooter. He has killed before. And they also stated that he was a part of the NLMB group before. And see, that's when Kobe got killed. On the bus stop in front of McDonald's. And so when Kobe was murdered and Black Mob killed Kobe at the bus stop in front of McDonald's, this is what they're saying, guys. So then that's how Shooter Shells got set up, and he was murdered by the NLMB members. And one, they say they died. They were also killed in retaliation after Shooter Shells was killed. And his name is G Slim. So after Shooter Shells was murdered, guys, his assassination kicked off a string of gang-related homicides in Chicago, which the MLB, they lost to the NLMB, G Slim, OG Wet, and Lil Wet Wet 'em Up's father. He even was killed. In which in return, Lil Wet killed 4 people from Black Mob. He even killed some members from No Limit. He eventually got caught up in between that beef between NLMB and Black Mob, and he became a casualty and a recently casualty of war. So what I see here in this story, these young men are out here gangbanging and they're shooting one another. It's like everybody's shooting everybody until everybody's dead. That's how this is appearing. Anyway, let's go on with the story. However, guys, Sadan Drolls was a controversial Southside rapper, and he had reputed ties to the Black P Stone gang. He earned a following in Chicago's drill music scene by taunting gang rivals, and some of these guys were slang, and he taunted them in his music lyrics. However, guys, they are claiming, allegedly, that Shooter Shells killed these people he rapped about. And he said, quote, "Whoever dead or alive, fuck the ops. Bitch." Those who performed under the name Shooter Shells rapped in a music video, and this was posted on YouTube in April of 2017. And the name of that rap song, entitled Death of 150. The video talked of the Black Mob's long-standing feud with the rival Stone Nation and No Limit, also known as No Limit 150. So that song, Death of 150, had to be aimed towards No Limit because No Limit's name was No Limit 150. Does sound like a diss track to me. However, this young man did not deserve that. And so after that, guys, about those 3 months later, that's when Mr. Doles, he was just 21 years old, and he was about to get out of his vehicle, and he was in his community, minding his business. And 3 men exited that white Nissan Altima and opened fire on him that morning. They all walked around his head once he hit the ground and shot him multiple times in the head and in his body. He collapsed, and they continued to take turns, each of them walking around the body and shooting up his body, especially his head and his face. And this was so terrible, guys, because guess what? After the shooting of Shooter Shells, the police recovered 43 shell casings near his body. 43.
Shooter motherfucking Shells, Mr. Death of 150. Yeah, I know I be catching y'all stupid ass. You know? And I got that shit. But you know, everybody telling me to leave that other shit alone, just focus on his music. And they right. So I'm gonna do that, you know. Stay out the way. Cause, you know, they wanna see a nigga down. I ain't finna be booked forever. You know? That's what they wanna see. Shout out them, fuck them.
Yes, young man, I wish you had left it alone and focused on your music and gotten yourself up out of the hood into a better situation for you and your family and your siblings and your mom and dad or whoever is at the house, yes, we wish you would have done that. But the way that this young man was gunned down, guys, by some very evil, unhuman human beings. Thank you guys for watching. Please like the video, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. If you like any story you would like me to do, just look into my About To section on my YouTube channel and feel free to email me. Business inquiries only. Thanks again, guys, for watching.